Okay, part 2 of solving with using the quadratic formula. Number 4, when solved for x, what is the sum when the roots of the quadratic equation are added? The roots are the same thing as my x-intercepts, my solutions, my zeros. These are all words for the same thing. I want the roots. So basically what they're asking me is solve for x, okay, when the equation equals 0. Oh, I didn't even write the equation. 1 second, guys. So the equation we want to use is x squared plus 11x plus 30. X squared plus 11x plus 30 equals 0. Okay, so if I solve this using the quadratic formula, I'm going to have my negative blank plus or minus the square root of blank squared minus 4 blankety blank all over 2 blank. And then I will fill in the blanks. Again, the quadratic formula is up on the wall there. And I need to label my A, my B, and my C. My A is whatever number is in front of my x squared. I don't have a number here, but I see 1x squared. So that means if I see 1, there is 1. If I see 1, there is 1. If I see none, there is none, which is 0. But my A in this case is 1. My B is the 11. Just the number. You do not take the variable with it. There are never, ever, 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 ever any x's in the quadratic formula. Never any x's in the quadratic formula. The C is the number 30. So once I know what my A, my B, and my C are, I'm going to fill it in with 2 B's, 2 A's, ooh, 1 C. 2 B's, 2 A's, 1 C. 2 B's. My B is the number 11. 2 A's. My A is the number 1. And 1 C, and that's the number 30. Okay, then I'll just simplify this. So I have negative 11 plus or minus the square root of, and maybe you remember from the last video that the inside underneath the square root, that was called the discriminant. So I like to find the discriminant all on its own, because it'll come in handy later when we get into imaginary numbers and whatnot. But right now, 11 squared minus 4 times 1 times 30 will actually give you just the number 1. And then in my denominator, I have 2 times 1, which is just 2. Okay, so it just so happens that the square root of 1 is the whole number 1. So now I just have to handle that plus or minus. I have to handle it separately when it comes out of the radical. So if it turns into a nice whole number, I need to go 2 routes and find 2 answers. If it was something like the square root of 37, something that did not come out of the square root, something that did not simplify, I could just leave my answer as is. Okay, but since it does, I need to go 2 routes. Where am I going to put this? I don't know. Negative 11 plus the 1 over 2. And then I have the negative 11 minus the 1 over 2. Okay, so I had to handle the plus or minus separately. A plus the 1 and 1 with the minus the 1. The negative 11 didn't change. The negative 11 is still negative 11. The 2 is still 2. The only thing that changes is I have a plus 1 or I have a minus 1. We're clear? Great. Okay, so negative 11 plus 1 gives me negative 10. And negative 10 over 2 is negative 5. Negative 11 minus 1 is negative 12. And negative 12 over 2 is negative 6. Now the question wasn't what are the solutions. The question was what is the sum once I add the roots. So what they want you to do in the end is add the 2 answers you got. I want to add my negative 5 plus my negative 6. I'm all out of space. But I want to add my negative 5 plus my negative 6. And my final answer would be negative 11. That is the answer. Number 5. What is the solution to 8x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0? Sorry guys, I'm getting tired. Negative blank plus or minus the square root of blank squared minus 4 blankety blank all over 2 blank. And in the blanks, I put 2 B's, 2 A's, 1 C. 2 B's, 2 A's, 1 C. 2 B's, my B is the number 4. 2 A's, my A is the number 8. 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and 1 C, and my C is the number -3. -3. All right, this one, I do -4 plus or minus the square root of something all over 2 times 8, which is 16. So I will put it into my calculator, the 4 squared minus 4 times 8 times -3, and it will give me 112. All right, our calculators will reduce this radical for you, and the square root of 112 turns into -4 plus or minus a 4, and the square root of 7. So the square root of 112 turns into 4, and the square root of 7. And they're all over 16. This problem can simplify because the -4 can be reduced with the 16. -4 over 16 will give me -1/4, right? And the same thing here, that's also a 4 over 16. So I have plus or minus a 1 and the square root of 7. So both the 4 over 16s reduce to 1/4. And that would be my final answer. You have to reduce if possible at the end. All right.